Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on a Sunday night. Lovely to see you guys here on the A to Z Sports Streaming Network. Draft week, kids. We made it. We're almost there. Thursday night will begin, obviously, the first round of the 2023 NFL Draft, and we can stop with the constant swirl of rumors and dial that back just a little bit. But in the meantime, the rumor mill is churning as fast and as quickly as ever before, and specifically around two star players for this Tennessee Titans team. Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry were both the subject of trade rumors this weekend. We're going to go through each, ask you fact or fiction, what we think about this situation, and then wrap our Sunday evening broadcast up with this as a free site, the best thing that I saw on the internet this weekend. Before we do that, need you guys to share this show on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch so we can talk about these Henry and Tannehill rumors together. If you are on Facebook Live, you can share now to public. That's in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. If you are on Twitter, you can retweet the show. It's in the bottom right if you would like to. And if you're on YouTube or Twitch like VandyFan615 or Mr. Jones, you can like the video. You can subscribe to the channel. You can do both. If you've done both, you can tell a friend to do the same. We would be grateful for you that way. John Vargas says, dang, Buck, it's been a while since I caught the show. You lost some weight, buddy. See it in the face. Well, I'll tell you just how I did that and so many other things once we get the show started. John, thank you for the kind words. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the Superbook Sports Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising, and I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by TrueMav Fitness in the Gulch, the best place to work out, the best place to lose that weight that you need to. Drop those few pounds that you might be thinking of shedding before summer is upon us. Boat season, beach season, TrueMav Fitness has you covered. TrueMavFitness.com for your first workout free as Middle Tennessee resident. The Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage, GaryAshton.com is where you go for your dream address without the stress. The intel edge you need to succeed can be found at GaryAshton.com. And Superbook Sports. Download the app today. Bet on the NBA playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs, baseball, and all your favorite major sports in the Superbook Sports app. A lot of trade rumors around the NFL every offseason. We know this. We know that it is regarded as the season of lies. We know that it is a scenario. And in fact, Bert, it just occurred to me that we probably should have pulled Diana Rossini's answer about the quarterbacks from Friday's show. I don't know how quickly a turnaround you might be able to have on that, but a lot of stuff swirling around the Titans just generally, right? And so with that being said, as we get now to draft week, over the course of the last 48 hours, let's call it, there's been two substantial rumors that have been out there. One more concrete and one more fanciful. We're going to work our way through both of these. And it does not include the third player who has been discussed in a lot of these transactions, which is Kevin Byard. And of course, we know that KB's status with this football team is anything but concrete in ways that are kind of nuts. So let's start with Derrick Henry. I think that's the place that we kind of can dig into the biggest one, because that, I think, was the scariest one for you guys. And simply the question that I'm going to ask you, it's your Two Rivers Ford take, fact or fiction? The trade rumors surrounding Titans running back Derrick Henry and the Philadelphia Eagles. Fact or fiction? In the comment section on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. We'll discuss together. Now, the report on this, it's gotten a little bit more convoluted without people having, without verified people having the verified blue check marks, right, on the on social media in particular and Twitter, where that has become a bit more Wild West-like. It is the real account of, and I'm going to butcher his last name, even though I've had him on the radio show, Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Akbar Bajabiamila, I believe, is how you pronounce one of the hosts of American Ninja Warriors, and who I believe is doing daytime television for CBS. Former NFL defensive back, Akbar is and was reporting this weekend that Derrick Henry is going to be traded to the Eagles. He is the only one out there. He is the only one with that report. And when asked about his report, he said, just remember where you heard it first. So fact or fiction is the question around the Derrick Henry Eagles rumors. It's your Two Rivers Ford take, as always. It's presented by Two Rivers Ford. 2023 model year Fords available right now at the dealership in Mount Juliet. 40 years of Two Rivers Ford doing business with honesty, integrity, and the kind of award-winning customer service that you have come to love and know. Two Rivers Ford always sells all non-specialty new Ford vehicles below MSRP. So not only are you getting the best shopping experience, but you're also getting the best price. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. Fact or fiction, the Derrick Henry trade rumors. Vandy Fan 615 says, I understand they share an agent. They do not. That is the first fictional element of this. Akbar, now I know who Akbar's representation is because previously we shared representation. We were at least at the same agency, if not directly the same agents, though some of the same agents that I work with. Akbar, Bajabiamila. I think I'm nailing the pronunciation on that name, by the way. I think I'm absolutely nailing that. Bert just gave me the thumbs up. That's as proud as I've ever been of myself as any point in my professional broadcasting career. Prouder than Tua Tagovailoa. I can't think of who was the Missouri tight end from a couple of years ago. Was it Albert Okwuegbunam? I feel like I get a lot of these names. So I'm just bragging on myself for a little bit. But Akbar had the tweet on Saturday that Derrick Henry was going to be traded for the Eagles. Did not include compensation, did not give a timeline. So Akbar and I did have the same representation service, but Akbar recently has changed his representation to Creative Artists Agency, which has been a place that has represented Derrick Henry in years past. Derrick Henry is no longer primarily represented by CAA. He is now a client. He does have business interests with CAA, but his representation, his direct representation, is now Athletes First. So that is the first portion of this report that we will debunk. That is fiction, that Akbar and Derrick share an agent. So what that would mean is that at some point between now and Sunday morning, Derrick Henry would have to be moved to the Eagles because this is a trade that would have to directly revolve around this year's NFL draft. I think that when I saw this, my initial reaction was, okay, is it his account? It was. Is it Akbar's real account? It was, because blue check marks have been removed. And by the way, that does not guarantee that it's credible reporting, even if the blue check mark was still around, right? So let's start there. Secondarily, is it true? I started calling around, and as of 9:30 a.m. yesterday morning, Derrick Henry was not being traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. So my response in this scenario is this is fiction. Derrick Henry, as of yesterday morning at 9:30 a.m., was not being traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, that was the last time I had a conversation around this. I was able later to confirm that initial conversation later in the afternoon. On Saturday, my understanding of that situation is it has not changed in the 48 hours since then. Now, I'm not saying that it can't still happen. I'm just saying as of right now, it is not happening. And that, I think, is the first fictional portion of these trade rumors. The Primetime Show is presented by the True Math Fitness Gym, True Math Fitness in the Gulch, to be specific. No workout ever recycled or repeated. All the best coaches with all the best ways to get you up to speed and accomplish your fitness goals. TrueMathFitness.com is where you go for your first workout free. They have the boot camp style classes. I love them. They keep my mind and my body active and continuing to adapt to all of the different workouts that they will implement. You will never be overexerted, but they will push your fitness levels to help you continue to achieve your fitness goals. Not only do they have those workout classes, they have personal training, and they have an open gym. So for any level of fitness that you are trying to achieve, check out their membership options. And like I said, get your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident at TrueMathFitness.com. So Eric Alonso says, trade the 2-down running back, talking about Derrick Henry. And at this point, there is not a deal out there for Derrick Henry that would be good enough for the Titans to move him. Derrick Henry is more important to this team than he is to any of the other 31 teams in the NFL that might potentially consider his services. The Eagles portion of this, obviously triggering, given that last offseason, one of the most dramatic moments for Titans fans in the last 25 years of their existence is the Eagles getting A.J. Brown. I mean, a first and a third is not outright pennies, but it's not necessarily commensurate value for a player who looks like he has really special potential in AJ. So there's the additional trauma of the Eagles. Of course, it's revolving around a star player. Anything around Derrick Henry is going to be triggering for Titans fans, understandably so. But Eric says trade the 2-down running back. Now, I'm not of the opinion that you should just trade him for anything, right? I am of the opinion that unless there is a deal good enough to mitigate all the different things that Derrick Henry provides for this football team, still provides for this football team, a football team that is still, while not maybe necessarily constructed around Derrick Henry features as the primary option for this team's offensive attack, right? We know that the identity of the Titans is running the football with Derrick Henry as long as he is present on the roster. So I think that at this point, I mean, and I was thinking about this yesterday when I saw it, like, what might I consider giving up for Derrick Henry? If I could get a 4th-round pick or anything, I mean, obviously anything above a 4th-round pick would be great, but I think at minimum, a 4th-round pick for this year's upcoming draft to recoup the 4th-round pick that you lost because of Julio Jones, that would be the starting point for what I would consider for Derrick Henry. I don't think a 4th-round pick is something that is going to be offered by a team. I think that the compensation, the draft compensation offered by a team would be lower than a 4th-round pick for the services of Derrick Henry. A 5th, I would hear the argument, but I would certainly, it would certainly be an uphill battle for me to consider. I think any discussions around Derrick Henry have to start with a 4th-round pick, or at least have to, at minimum, be a 4th-round pick. Now, you may think that he's worth more. And I completely understand why you would be of the belief that way, just, again, because of the importance of the player, because of how much it is that he means, the name equity, the production that Derrick Henry has had previously. But he's not necessarily going to be an asset to other teams. He's an asset, right? He is an asset. And I'm not here to diminish Derrick Henry. Even though you guys can consistently accuse me of trying to diminish Derrick Henry on a regular basis, it's just not so. My job is to try and give you the most realistic possible scenarios for this stuff. And a realistic scenario, I think, for Derrick Henry is probably a 5th or a 6th-round pick, where he is in his contract, where he is in his age, where he is at his position, all these different things, and that it would be a rental deal for any team acquiring him. So it would basically just be like a 1-year loaner for Derrick Henry. All those things factor into why it would be tough to get more than a 5th-round pick for Derrick Henry right now. TK says it's not your fault the sheep don't like reality, Buck. No, I mean, listen, I'm not mad at people who get pissed off about the idea of Derrick Henry. I completely understand, right? Like, he is one of the most impactful, important players to ever play for this franchise in its history. And the idea that you would just, ship him off for like Jarrell Casey type compensation. Remember, Jarrell got traded for a 7th, right? So we're talking about better compensation than former franchise legend Jarrell Casey got traded for, but still not good enough for what it would cost to move Derrick, or what it would emotionally cost you to move Derrick Henry, right? That would do legitimate harm to the fan base. I do think that should a scenario develop that makes it worth your while to trade Derrick Henry? Yes, every player has a price. Every player has a price. Doesn't matter who you are, what position you play. Every player has a price that they can be had for. No player is untouchable in the league, even Patrick Mahomes. There is an offer out there, a Godfather offer that exists that would be too good for the Kansas City Chiefs to pass up on a trade offer for Patrick Mahomes. Now, should a team come up with an offer like that? Realistically, no, but no player is untouchable. And speaking of untouchable, or lack thereof, we'll get to the Tannehill rumors here in just a second. But right now, the Derrick Henry Eagles trade rumors specifically are fiction. Could it change? Could it happen, later this week? Could it happen during the first round of the draft? Could it happen between now and Sunday morning when the NFL draft is officially concluded and everything, seems like it's a little more close to in place, right? But as we sit here today, the Derrick Henry Eagles scenario is fiction. And everybody that I've talked to around this scenario right now says that is the case. So we will, if something changes and I'm able to find out about it, we'll let you know. If there's more information out there and somebody else gets it, obviously we'll keep you updated with that as well. Now, I think that the scenario here, and good on Robert for being able to pull a clip from the Diana Rossini interview about trading Ryan Tannehill and what that might look like, because that seems like a much more realistic scenario, but still a difficult one for a team without a feasible option on the roster beyond Ryan Tannehill. So let's talk about these Tannehill rumors together and ask you the same question. Just change the name. Fact or fiction? The trade rumors surrounding Titans quarterback Ryan Tannehill. We just did fact or fiction Derrick Henry. Now let's apply those same principles to 17's circumstances. You guys let me know in the comments on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch, while I remind you that the Primetime Show is presented by the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. The intel edge you need to succeed can be found at GaryAshton.com, the official real estate agent of the Nashville Predators and of this streaming show. It helps you sell your home without any stagings or showings. Help you sell your current home while you find your next one in this red-hot Nashville real estate market. Helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity right now. The team that your favorite teams trust is the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage at GaryAshton.com. So fact or fiction, the trade rumors surrounding Ryan Tannehill. So if you did not see Jeremy Fowler on SportsCenter this morning, he gave a quote to the effect of Ryan Tannehill's trade availability. He was asked specifically about players who could be acquired via trade, given that Aaron Rodgers and Lamar Jackson have garnered the headlines, but there are still teams who need viable quarterback solutions. And right now, for example, the Jets don't have Aaron Rodgers secured and under contract. So it becomes a scenario where they have to start considering a variety of other options. So with that being said, Ryan Tannehill's availability is something that Jeremy Fowler spoke to this morning. Here is the quote. Well, I want you to hear this. I want you to hear this clip from Diana Rossini first and foremost before I show you her, or before I read you her colleague Jeremy Fowler's tweet, or rather reporting on it this morning on television. Diana Rossini of ESPN. We talked to her about a variety of different things. It was a great interview. I invite all of you to check out the whole one in the radio show's podcast feed. It's self-involved title. It's called The Buck Rising Show. But Friday's hour one, Diana Rossini was on the show. And I asked her specifically about Ryan Tannehill's circumstance. And this is what Diana had to say. Because people think that that Tannehill would still be able to be moved at the last second at this point. The lack of interest in having Ryan Tannehill as the starting quarterback here after the past couple of seasons have gone down is always fascinating for me to watch play out. And I don't know what you've been hearing, but like there has been nothing to the effect of Ryan Tannehill being anything but the Titans starting quarterback in 2023 based on the people that I've talked to, but I can't speak for you.
Yeah, same. Look, Ryan Tannehill being the backup plan to Aaron Rodgers in New York would probably sink the state of New Jersey, just because the hype is so big for Aaron. No knock on Ryan. But look, if there is an opportunity for Tennessee to move Ryan and be able to get some compensation for it, knowing the situation contractually that stands with him, I don't think it would be off the table. Well, I mean, I think it'd be bad business by Rand if he didn't at least talk to the Jets at some point here to say, hey, you're going to need a quarterback and a good one. And we can debate, I'm sure, another day how we would define Ryan right now in his career. But Ryan's solid, man. Like, he's good. That's just my opinion. I think he could step right into that Jets roster and they could win. I think the challenges with staying in Tennessee are, he certainly does not have those weapons. He does not have that defense. So it's a much different. I'd be curious if Ryan would love that trade, knowing that what they look like up there or here in New York.
So that is Diana Rossini on Friday's radio show. Again, available, the full interview via podcast in the first hour of Friday's radio show. We also had Coach Dave McGinnis of Titans Radio on. Corey Smith says, so Buck, if Henry's worth a fourth, what's Ryan worth? Corey, Derek's well, let me not speak out of turn, okay? I can't speak specifically. I can't speak specifically to what offers and what kind of compensation have the Titans have been approached about. Like, I don't know if Derrick Henry's value right now, if Derrick Henry is being valued by other teams right now as a fourth. So now you're asking me a hypothetical that we can't really answer because we haven't seen any kind of proposed compensation for Derrick. You know what I'm saying? Like, without that, I can't tell you what Derrick's worth, and by extension, can't tell you what Ryan Tannehill is worth. B-Friend says Buck is dealing hope tonight, but we all know Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be a Tennessee Titan unless you trade for him on your Madden game. I'm not saying that Rodgers is going to end up being a Titan. I'm saying that Tannehill, Derrick, and Kevin Byard, we're not talking about Byard tonight, but he's a part of this. All three of those players I'm going to consider available, and really anybody on the roster besides Jeff who just signed an extension. I'm going to consider those three players available until further notice. Like, until we are at a point, really heading into the summer break, right? After voluntary stuff, OTAs and whatnot, because that's on the horizon in the next month. I think that I'm not going to have any confidence that any of the three of them are going to be on the roster concretely until I see them trot out there on the field out of Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park or through the doors from Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park onto the practice fields out there. It's why they haven't restructured or extended any of the three of them yet, because they could have easily brought down the cap hits of all three of them if they truly wanted to and were truly committed to these three players beyond 2023 right now. The extensions or restructures could have been done. So until such time as those things happen, those three players to me are available for trade. Ryan Tannehill seems to be at the top of that list while everybody else tries to work out the quarterback musical chairs. The Titans are still holding a bit of an interesting card here. That was something that Ian Rappaport spoke about earlier last week.
Yeah, I would say some wiggle room there. I mean, what he essentially said is that Ryan Tannehill is a Titan. He is the quarterback, and that is the way it stands.
He says he's going to be a Titan.
Yeah, and I think that is the most likely option. I'd be curious, though, contract-wise, what's going to happen. I mean, because if you're Ryan Tannehill and, perhaps you'd want some long-term security. Certainly that is something that every quarterback wants. I think if you're Tennessee, you would look at his number and say, like, what are we getting for, a number in the 20s? So maybe there's some way that the two sides can get together and say, all right, contractually, financially, what's the best way to maybe lower the cap hit or lower the number and make sure he gets some security, find a way to do that. Now, I would say this. If you're the Tennessee Titans and you look around in the league and you say, well, who could I actually get? Isn't Ryan Tannehill the best option? If you're Tannehill and you look around and you say, I could go in a bunch of different places, where's better for me than Tennessee? Right. So this might be a case where they got to figure out the numbers perhaps, but mutually beneficial for him to stay.
So forgive me, that wasn't from last week. That was from last month, the combine, or almost 2 months now. February, end of February at this point. That was after Rand Carthon spoke about Ryan Tannehill, his status with the team. Remember, we had Rand on the radio show. Reminder, Rand Carthon and I assume Mike Vrabel are going to host their post or pre-draft press conference tomorrow at 1 p.m. So we're probably going to I'm probably going to have to hit a dead sprint from the radio show over to St. Thomas Sports Park right after we wrap up to make sure that I can get to that pre-draft press conference on time, because it's rare I get to go to press conferences during the week anymore, other than after games. So right now, fact around Ryan Tannehill's trade situation, more so fact than Derrick Henry. Could the situation change? Of course it could. It's a long time. It's not a long time between now and Thursday in the first round, but it is a long time when you consider the kind of things, the kind of balls that are still up in the air, right? At this point, as everybody tries to juggle their offseason, this is kind of where the Titans are in all this and working through the various situations that they have to be prepared for. And it sounds like they're prepared for a variety of different situations at this stage. Now, what I would say, and this is an important note. In fact, I wrote about this at A2ZSports.com today. Rand Carthon better, if they're trading Ryan Tannehill, they better have a more proven rookie commodity than the kind of developmental prospects. I mean, all draft prospects are developmental prospects. It's just how many are ready sooner rather than later, right? But if Ryan Tannehill is going to be moved, then it cannot be for a 3 years is not feasible, but for a project quarterback, a larger project quarterback in the Richardson, Levis mold, it had better be for a player who can play and keep them competitive right out of the gate. Because right now, Malik Willis is the only option, and Malik Willis, when last we saw him, was legitimately not an option for this team. And like I said, he's got a whole nother offseason to be able to improve, perhaps make some serious strides. How big those strides will be, we'll find out come the summer and probably preseason. But Malik, at this point, when last we saw him, not a viable option. So they need a more viable option if they're to move Ryan Tannehill. All right, this is a free site to wrap things up on this Sunday evening. Who is your favorite team's biggest rival? If you're a Titans fan, it could be the Jags. It could be the Colts. I know they've had some competitive games for the division against Houston the last couple of years. Who is your favorite team's biggest rival? If you're a Vols fan, it's probably Florida or Alabama. Perhaps Kentucky is an option for you. But I'm curious to know who your favorite team's biggest rival is, because there was one local rivalry that ended in a way that I did not expect it to. We'll talk about it here in just a second, right after I remind you that the Primetime Show is presented by the wonderful folks at Superbook Sports. Baseball season is here. Postseason in basketball and hockey well underway. Superbook Sports is your place to wager no matter what season it is. They always have the best odds boosts and promo bets, and they will always find ways to get you in on the action. Superbook.com is where you go for terms and conditions and for the best sports wagering app out there. You get a $250 bonus when you sign up, deposit, and wager in the Superbook Sports app in the same day. So don't let spring pass you by without winning money with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. So, who is your favorite team's biggest rival? We're asking you that question because the University of Tennessee and Vanderbilt Commodores played a baseball series this weekend in Knoxville, and the results of which were kind of surprising. For those of you who've been following college baseball, perhaps you're a little late to the party. College baseball season about halfway over, and Tennessee has struggled in ways that I don't think most people looking at last year's team would have anticipated. Vanderbilt came into the series the number 4 ranked team in the country, and did not hold up well against the University of Tennessee for a second straight season. So to watch that play out this weekend and the final today, which was resoundingly in favor of the Vols, it was pretty interesting to see. And I always enjoy when one fan base who beats a bitter rival likes to celebrate very passionately, like my dear friends Ron Slay and Ramon Foster do anytime they beat Vanderbilt in any sport.
Hold on, man. Let me check that back. What's that? That don't seem right. What's going on? Yeah, that don't seem right. You know what? I got him. What am I supposed to use? Use this broom, son. Hey. Oh. Look at this.
He's an idiot, but I love him. Ron Slay celebrated. That was last year when the Vols swept Vandy, getting the better of Vanderbilt in the series, in this first series season, this season's first series against one another, culminating today. Sick backyard, says Peter. Yeah, that is the backyard of one Ramon Foster out in the scenic suburbs of Hendersonville, outside the perimeter for me. But I do think that Ramon's got a sick setup. All right, that's going to do it for us tonight on the Primetime Show. Great to start another week with you guys. Draft week. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a lot of fun. 10-1 on 104.5 The Zone tomorrow. We'll get you ready. We'll discuss in more detail the Tannehill and Derrick Henry situations. We'll update you on anything that we have on Kevin Byard. And the latest intel heading into the Titans 2023 draft. Going to be a lot of fun and looking forward to doing it all with you guys. Reminder, once the draft class has been selected by the Tennessee Titans, we have this really, really cool event that's going down less than a month from today. Greg Cosell of NFL Films. You guys know Greg. If you watch the Primetime Show, we play you clips from Greg from time to time. When we do the podcast, Greg, the executive producer of NFL Films, we are flying Greg down here to do a live version of the podcast at the Hutton Hotel on May the 20th, Saturday, May the 20th at 6 p.m. We're going to break down the entire 2023 Titans draft class. Greg and I, we're going to have special guests to participate in the film breakdowns as well. It's going to be done in front of a live audience. The tickets are on sale right now at 1045thezone.com. They're $25 for general admission. If you just want to come, hang out, watch the breakdowns. We're going to do a Q&A session with Greg as well and some of our special guests. If you want a dinner and drink tickets, it is a $75 ticket, 2 drink tickets, and a buffet option for you with the VIP tickets for the live taping of the install with Greg Cosell. Again, 1045thezone.com. I want to see all of you guys there. I know how fired up you guys are to get this draft class secured and get ready for the season. No better way to understand the new prospects that you just got better than with Greg Cosell walking you through tape breakdowns of each and every one in person. May the 20th, Hutton Hotel, 6 p.m., $25 for GA, $75 for drinks and dinner at 1045thezone.com. Puka says, how about VIP without dinner? Well, Puka, that's just GA. VIP just includes dinner and drinks. If you want to just come hang out, Greg's going to stick around for pictures. Like I said, we're going to do Q&A with Greg as a part of the podcast. It's going to be really cool. So you want to come have a couple of cocktails, talk some ball, talk some shop with one of the brightest minds in the business. And as we trying to figure out if we want to do surprise special guests or if I want to tell you guys ahead of time who we have coming to participate in some of the breakdowns with Greg and I, because we're going to have a few third-party scenarios in there too, in addition to the Q&A, and just a great night at a really, really cool venue for those of you who have not been to the Hutton Hotel. The Analog is specifically the venue. Bryce Erickson says, you buying the cocktails, but well, the last event that I hosted, the bowling event that we did for charity, by the way, we're doing the bowling event again in June coming up this year. Keep an eye out for details on that. The last time that you guys showed up to an event that I threw, I did end up taking a lot of shots, buying a lot of shots for a handful of people who wanted to do shots. Now, I will not be doing shots until after I host this thing with Greg, because nothing scares me more in my professional day-to-day than being unprepared for a conversation with Greg, because Greg's a hell of a lot smarter about football than I am, and I don't like to sound like a dipshit if I can help it. So the shots will be after at that point, but I hope you guys come and hang out either way. Drinks will be flowing, and I like my tequila, but like I said, in this case, after the event with Greg. Anyway, that's going to do it for us tonight. Like I said, 1045thezone.com for those tickets, and we will see you tomorrow on the radio show at 10 a.m.
Are you surprised to hear that?
Certainly not. The first year we took it to the limit. And I was in Miami with my new beach house. Well, it was a couple minutes from the beach.
It's been 20 years since then. We haven't been too strong in the last few years.
Oh, we've been strong. We're just playing by the rules. You can't have a newcomer come in and steal a show.